Polk Vision serves as a central coordination point to align the work of hundreds of public, private, and civic organizations. Their goal is to develop plans that will result in change through collective effort and increased efficiency. The Polk Vision Leadership Program started in 2007 as the only county-wide leadership development program. To be considered for the program, participants must demonstrate a high level of civic engagement. And by the time the 9-month program is over, the participants will have developed a diverse network of resourceful, informed, and proactive people committed to building a more vibrant future for Polk County. Joining us today are Polk County Commissioner Martha Santiago and Polk Vision Executive Director Kim Long, both of whom are alumni of the first Polk Leadership Program. Thank you for joining us, ladies.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, the first of the Polk Leadership Polk program, how did you find out about it and what did you hope to gain from it?
Well, that was 12 years ago, Kim, hasn't it been? It's amazing how fast time has gone by.
We're just announcing, just on the verge of announcing Leadership Polk Class 13. Yes. So it's been 13 years ago now.
Yes. Yeah. So as you already said, we were engaged in our communities, and so they started with Polk Leadership, and we were asked to be part of it, and we did. I didn't know Kim from before that time, nor did you know me, did you, Kim?
No, and that's the point. It served a purpose of bringing diverse community leaders together who might not otherwise have an intersection. Martha, lifelong educator, Dr. Santiago, lifelong educator. I, at the time, was in hospitality and tourism. Our points of intersection were few, if any, and she and I had never had the privilege of serving on any community boards together prior to Class 1. But since that time, we've found many points of intersection.
And here it is, living proof of what this program does. It brings leaders together so that we can tackle diverse issues countywide. And now, back then you were in the community, what is it, the hospitality area. And now you're the leader, you're the one that's spearheading this program together. It's a wonderful program that tackles different issues in countywide. In fact, Kim, I mean, I know what we did back then, but tell us, almost 13 years later, what issues are we dealing with Polk Vision now?
Well, one of the beautiful things about the progression of the Leadership Polk program and the continuation over the years is we've been able to remain responsive to current trends and challenges facing the community. So our work aligns specifically with the work of the BOCC. We want to make certain that we're measuring the same outcomes, that we're sensitive and in tune with the strategic vision of the BOCC, as well as the school district, as well as the economic development arm of our community. So we may take issues such as, I don't know, we're in the top 10 most dangerous places to walk or ride a bike in the United States, right?
Not a happy place.
Not a happy place, but Polk Vision exists to tackle those issues. So we've studied sidewalks, we've studied traffic patterns, we've worked together with the TPO and the school district and all of the municipalities to come together to map safer routes for school kids to get to school. So if we didn't have these issues that all brought a common thread together, and if there was no neutral convener that could do that, I think we wouldn't be as vibrant a community as we are. And that's the whole purpose of Polk Vision, is to have a shared, unified vision for the future, take off our individual municipal or business hats, our own personal, what do we have to get out of it, and we try to pull back and open the viewfinder for a bigger long-term vision for the community.
So we all have our own trenches, if you will, the ruts we're in just as a matter of course in our lives. Right. So you're kind of bringing everyone up to take a grander view of the entire picture. Which comes first, the mission you choose for that year, or do you take a look at the people you have in the pool and decide from there? How do you do it?
I think it's the mission, but you could talk about that even more so. But what I wanted to say was, this is one of the only organizations that I have known that actually has evolved throughout the years and has, how would I say, every year makes a bigger and bigger impact. In fact, when we first started, and one of the goals of Polk Vision is to take, how many, 22, 23, how big are the classes now that we have for Polk Vision?
Oh, the number of class members, we've never had fewer than 28.
Okay.
This year we have a class of 32, but it runs between 30 and 35 usually.
So you take these people that probably have not gone to different parts of the county. Like, for example, I remember, I don't know about you remember, but going to Frostproof and seeing the Theater Raymond and saying, oh my God, this is so neat. So exposing people to a county-wide perspective has been really instrumental in this case. And I think because of that, I don't know, Kim, you could chime in here, but I think that perspective is what helps the organization deal with the issues. Like, I know you just mentioned sidewalks and things like that, but I know you're deep into education also.
Deep into education. So
you want to say something about education?
Well, I think you know my passion for education. The issues that we face as a community are deep and wide, correct? They're not all keenly felt in municipalities in the same way, though.
Sure.
For example, a lack of sidewalks in one community may be manifested entirely differently in another community. So the lack of access to safe routes to school or Wi-Fi for being able to do your homework, which is an education issue, is also an economic development issue.
Absolutely.
All of these things, we try to get diverse populations working on them. Because I like to say, if you ask an educator about why a child might be tardy for school, but you ask someone working in the planning and development office why a child might be tardy for school and how do you address those issues, they're going to look at it through a different lens.
Sure.
And that's the beauty of how we align resources at Polk Vision. Yeah. We take an issue, typically it's data driven because we try to measure our outcomes. We take a data set that's making us uncomfortable or challenging us as a community. We unpack that together from diverse aspects, and we all work together to try to align resources to attack the problem and not put a Band-Aid on it. We're not looking for a short-term solution. We're playing the long game. We're looking for generational change. And it takes a good deal of patience and disruptive behavior. So you mentioned a second ago, you know, we all get in our lanes or we all get in our trenches. Me and the team I'm privileged to be a part of, and the co-chairs and our governing board and our operating board, we're intentionally disrupting normal behavior because we don't want to fall into a pattern of complacency. We want to be disruptive so that from that we can exercise change, but planned change, not just change for the sake of change.
Well, and Polk County is changing. It is becoming progressively more urban than rural, and sidewalks in an urban environment are a very different need than sidewalks around schools in a more rural environment.
Right. Right, and we're here to talk about leadership, Polk.
But let me also say, because I do want to add this. When we started, we were the first class, as you already heard, and then we became co-chairs for
the Alumni Association,
both of us, for 2 years until we kept building the Alumni Association. And now it's how many members? Like 100 and
close to 200.
Close to 200, and these are the people that continuously work at
still supporting.
And still supporting. So it doesn't happen overnight. And you talk about patience and endurance and all that. It takes a while to do it. But now look at what they're doing to solve our problems in our county. But you know, we mentioned the sidewalk, and we also mentioned education. But you have 6 pillars
Right.
The organization has 6 pillars, so it's not, we're just not limited in 1 or 2 things. Mention the pillars.
Right.
And
well, we were founded, from the very beginning, we were founded on a collective impact model. So whether you call it alignment or you call it collective impact, or whether you use the term we're better together, we do understand, though, that there are 6 pillars of opportunity, that if they're all aligned properly and they're all working in sync together, that typically you would have very positive outcomes. And whether that's education, government, civic engagement, quality of life, which is a deep and wide pool, but would include health outcomes. If those fundamental pillars are all aligned and equally represented when you're trying to approach and solve problems, typically your outcomes will be positive and sustainable. So those are the matters that we remain true to. So while we do have teams working on education and we do have teams working on infrastructure, we don't forget that there's a civic engagement component, and that's why we work intentionally to produce events that engage the community and enlighten them and educate them. For example, we host our Mayor's Roundtable, of which the BOCC participates. Their chair annually sits down together with municipal mayors, and we have an open dialogue and conversation with the community and with each other. We produce State of the County, of which the county manager and the chairman of the BOCC address the community and answer questions about where we've been and where we're headed. We're planning right now for a fall update from our legislative delegation. In October, we'll be producing what has become an annual event for us, which will be a warm-up to the legislative delegation in Tallahassee. So we take those responsibilities really seriously as well, just informing and engaging the community.
And I think the key here, again, is that it is county-wide, representation from county-wide, not just from a specific area, which I think that's what basically helps solve the issues. Because like you said, you may see something one way, I may see something the other way, and you may see something, depending on where we live, what we have dealings with, what are our backgrounds. We all come together and we look at a issue, a situation from different perspectives until we get to what works best for our county. And I think that's what the beauty about Polk Vision is, that we have people from all over the county, which you're saying you're ready for your next class. Which is starting now in August. So I know that lots and lots of people in Polk County are watching, will be watching this program. So I want to make sure that they get this information of how they can contact you so that they can apply for the next class.
Okay. The class applications are opened up during the month of April, so we just closed and determined applications. However, that's an annual process. It has become a quite competitive process over the years as we've built our foundation of leadership, and it has become, let me say, people aspire after their local leadership programs, after they go through their local chamber program, they aspire to being a graduate of Leadership Polk. Yeah. So it is quite a competitive process. I don't believe Martha or any of us had to actually apply for Class 1.
No,
I'm privileged to say that I think we were hand-selected.
Yes.
So
and look at us now.
And we appreciate it was an honor to be selected as part of Class 1. And I think they did a really good job at selecting a diverse group of us. And we all of us are continuing in service.
And that's what we want to encourage people to continue to invest in their community. That's what it's all about.
Now, if someone were interested in one of the events that you spoke of, do you have a website? How would they find out about those events?
It's www.polkvision.com.
Simple.
Very simple.
Here it is.
Very simple.
Polkvision.com.
So they can go there for any of the upcoming events?
Any of the upcoming events, and we remain poised to answer any questions they have. And of course, if someone's, as they look through our website. If they're interested in any of the issues we're addressing, whether they fall in the realm of health or public safety or education, we stand ready to accept volunteers at all times. We are a volunteer organization.
Yes.
Several hundred volunteers convene monthly in pursuit of a brighter future for Polk County.
Thank you both for joining us.
Oh,
This was
pleasure.
really interesting.
Yes,
Thank you.
definitely. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for another edition of the Commissioner's Report.